Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So yesterday I told you regarding the making of constitution and the path to constitution. I explained some situations regarding or what was prevalent in our country when we got independence. Okay, Tia, can you tell what all were the situations that was prevalent in India when we got independence or when we started framing constituent assembly? That situation, just tell about it. Tia? Yeah. What all situations were prevalent in our country when we got independence? Do you remember? No. Shivanya, can you tell?
Yes, ma'am. People of India were emerging from status of subjects to citizens.
Yeah, one change is that people, they were emerging as citizens from subjects. Okay.
The country was born through a partition.
Yeah, the country was born through a partition. So what was the situation that time?
10 lakh people were killed on both sides.
Both sides, you can see many were killed. Then
The British had left it to the rulers of the princely state that they can decide whether they want to merge with India or Pakistan.
Another situation that was with princely states. It was like that. They gave an option that whether they want to join with India, they can, or if they want to join with Pakistan, they can, or if they want to remain, they can remain independent. Okay, so this was the situation, and it was not an easy it was not an easy task to make everyone to join India during that time. Okay, next it's about the path to constitution. Path to constitution, in the sense, just a framework is given. What was the situation among the leaders that time? We just made a comparison that our leaders or the people of our country, it was a bit different from South Africa. South Africa, general agreement, a general idea, it was not prevalent when they started framing the constitution. But we can see that in India, there was a general consensus, or there was a general agreement among the people that not only among the people or among the leaders also, that they want India to be like this. So this started much years back here, not just after the independence. Okay, just I'll take the, yeah. So making of constitution, then next path to constitution. Here, when we talk about the framing of constitution, it is not just started after the independence. That was started much years back. Okay, so here in 1928, that year onwards, we can see the people are thinking of independence, or leaders, they were thinking of independence, and they wanted to frame a constitution for our country. So here you can see 1928, Motilal Nehru, and there were other leaders also, somewhat 8 other Congress leaders. They drafted a constitution for India. So you just see whether that time, whether India was independent. No. So 1928 itself, we can see that our leaders, they started framing a constitution for our country. Now, I told that we started fighting for freedom much before. Which year actually that visible fighting we saw when we started that fighting for freedom?
1857.
1857. Before itself, the people were not happy, but you can see everyone joined in our country, and they fought for freedom from 1857 revolt. So from there onwards, you can see everyone started thinking of getting freedom from the Britishers here. That is the first thing. So 1928, you can see that they started drafting a constitution. Again, you can see 1931. You know that every year the Congress leaders, they meet. Every year they'll have a session. So 1931, next step you can see, in 1931 at Karachi session, the Indian National Congress, what decision they took, they felt that when India become independence, how should be our constitution? All those things were decided in 1931. So second changes, whatever related to the constitution, they brought in 1931. Okay, so first one started in 1928, then you can see in 1931. Now, what all ideas they preferred or what all things they wanted to include in the constitution, these are the things. The first one, that is inclusion of universal adult franchise. What do you mean by universal adult franchise?
Above 18 all have the right to vote.
Right to vote.
Those who are adults, they should have the right to vote. So they are not thinking that, or they are not having any difference of opinion regarding this. Everyone felt that all should have the right to vote. It should not be based on money, or it should not be based on status, nothing like that. Okay, so first thing, so you see that these all ideas, it was framed in from 1928 onwards, not just after 1947. That is why I told that when we got independence, all these leaders, they had a general agreement on all the ideas. How should be India? Okay, so this is the first one. Second one, you can see right to freedom and equality. Right to freedom and equality in the sense? What do you mean by that?
Everyone should have equal right and
They
freedom.
have the freedom.
Yeah, all should have the freedom. Then all should enjoy equal rights.
Equality.
Okay, equality should be there. It's like, you know, that in our country, the society was divided into different divisions, right? Caste system was there. So that changes, or that kind of inequality, our leaders, they don't want to follow in our country. So because of that reason, we can say that they are specifying the important point here. Right to freedom and equality should be there, and at the same time they should protect the right of minorities. You know that there are some group of people, they don't have much rights and all. What do you mean by minorities here?
The lower caste people.
It is not lower caste, minority, from that word itself.
Those who are less in number.
Yeah, those who are less in numbers. Okay, so there were various group of people, their numbers are very less. So you know that when our number is very less, what will happen? Whether we'll be able to fight for our rights and all? No, it will be difficult, because their already number is very less. Okay, so this minorities, what they have given specific importance, their rights should be protected. So that is another one important point they have given related to the minorities. Three important points they discussed here, or three important points where everyone agreed upon. What are they? Dion, can you tell? What are those three important points they were agreed upon?
Ma'am, inclusion of universal adult franchise.
Okay.
Right to freedom, equality, protecting the rights of
minorities. Okay. So these are the three things here. So basic values, you can see it was accepted by all the leaders much before the Constituent Assembly. When we framed the Constituent Assembly, or when we formed the Constituent Assembly? After? When did they form? After independence, or 1946, I told, because the Britishers thought that we have to give independence, but 1946 itself they made Indians to form the Constituent Assembly. Then only you know that partition happened, two Constituent Assembly were formed. So here, when they formed these Constituent Assembly, they were knowing that what all things should be included as the Constitution. That is why basic values were accepted by everyone. It was not that they were disagreeing on these ideas here. Next one. Again, you can see that this we are talking from that 1928 onwards, okay? Elections, it was held in 1937. Okay. So 1928, I told that we had a meeting of these Congress leaders. They decided how the constitution should be. Again, 1931, you can see they had another meeting and they included a lot of rights in that. Here, another one point you can see, elections, it was held in 1937. Okay. Now in 1937, you know that are we free?
No.
No, ma'am.
No. But there was election and the Britishers were, Britishers, they made some Indian leaders to stand in the election. And elections were held to provincial legislatures and ministries. What do you mean by provincial legislatures and ministries here? What do you mean by that? What is that, provincial legislatures and ministries? Okay, you know what is a legislature, right? What is legislature? What is a legislature? Lawmaking body, right?
Yes.
Like how we have a legislature now in our country, the same legislature, executive, like that. During those days also, in British India, we had legislatures. Okay. Now, into these legislatures, what happened? Some Indian leaders stood for election. Okay. Now, in that, they got seats also, in the sense they became the ministers also. But you can see that when we conduct the election, do you think that it was based on universal adult franchise?
No.
No, it was not based on universal adult franchise. They made some people to do the election and selected these leaders here. Okay. So those were not democratic governments because all were not involved in the election. And they were not giving importance to everyone. Whomever they liked, some leaders, they stood for the election and they came into the provincial legislature. But one thing was there, when they entered into the ministry, they saw that how they got an experience that how to rule, how to govern, how to take decisions. All these experience they got in this election, from this election. Okay, so here just listen. Provincial these elections to these provincial legislators, Indians also stood for election. They went into the legislature. What they felt that why they stood for election, actually they felt that they should know how to after going to the ministry, they felt that they will make the Britishers to accept their terms. But it didn't happen. But they got an experience in governing. Okay, so this experience was very valuable because otherwise, you see, if we are not having any experience, what will happen when we get independence? What will happen?
Won't be.
Yeah, we will not be able to govern properly at all. This will be the situation. But here you can see 1937 onwards, you can see there were some elections and all, and that Indians got into it and they got an experience and they understood how these legislative institutions are working. And it was very beneficial for our country when we got independence. Okay. Now, it's not that we just started governing. Our constitution or Indian constitution, you can see many features we took from our British Indian during that time, how they were ruling. Many features were taken, many procedures what we were having in our country during the British India, that was taken. At the same time, there was an act in our country in 1935. Okay, Government of India Act according to 1935. There were a lot of features how the government should be. Those features and all are taken, or we can say copied by Indians in our, when we started framing the constitution. So just before that, let me show you the video related to it. Just 1 minute. when we started framing the constitution, whether that time Mahatma Gandhi was involved in the framing?
No, ma'am.
No, what
ma'am.
was the reason?
His assassination was in
Yeah,
1940.
he was assassinated. So because of that reason, he was not a part of constitution. But even though he was not a part of constitution, he also had some ideas regarding constitution before itself. I mean, before getting independence itself. So those ideas were taken into consideration while framing the constitution. It's not that he was left out or anything. His many ideas were included in the constitution.
On eliminating in young Indian.
So here he was very much into removing inequality from our country, especially economic inequality. What do you mean by economic inequality? What is economic inequality?
Based on money.
Based on money. So yeah, some sections of people are very rich, some sections are very poor. So he was very much against this inequality. He always used to feel that the poor people should be brought forward, or they should come up in their life. So he always gave insistence to economic equality in our country. So those ideas were introduced, but it's not practically, it's not possible. It is not practiced in our country till now.
31. Ambedkar, visionary, who led a campaign to eliminate inequality. His ideas.
Okay, now come to the topic. Now this is about the framing of constitution before getting independence. Now next, one more thing is there related to this. The leaders of our country, they were very much attracted by the ideas of French Revolution, then how the British parliamentary system was working, and at the same time Bill of Rights. There is a charter of Bill of Rights for US. All these things they read, they studied how the British Parliament is working, and the ideas from French Revolution, everything it was taken into consideration while framing the constitution. So French Revolution, you know that all the ideas, especially they all talk about equality, freedom, right to vote. They were all very much into these rights. So all these things we can see that is included in the constitution. At the same time, you can see there was socialist revolution in Russia. Especially they talk about economic equality. I mean, all should be equal. For that purpose, there should not be any private property. The government should own all the property, and it should be equally distributed among people. So many Indians felt that we all should take some socialist ideas also. Some socialist ideas we have added in our constitution. And what is the reason for adding these socialist ideas? To bring, for what purpose they have introduced, or they wanted these socialist?
To bring equality.
Yes, very good. To bring social and economic equality. Okay. In the society, no one should be considered as high or low according to the status. That should not be there. Economic equality, in the sense as a base of money, there should not be, people should not be divided as rich and poor. That should not be there. So some socialist ideas also were added in the constitution. They were inspired from which incident? It's not French Revolution. Which revolution? That ideas are socialist ideas. So that is
Russian Revolution.
Yeah, Russian Revolution, socialist Russian Revolution, or socialist revolution in Russia. So all these factors you can see helped in making our constitution. Okay. Now I want our country. Okay, so 1937, Indians got a chance to govern our country because there were elections. In that, Indians also got selected. Okay, so that experience was helpful for our country. Okay. In what ways it was helpful? It helped them to write it down what all should be there for governing a country. What are the steps to govern the country? What the government should do? What rights should be there for the people? That some sort of experience they got that was very useful for our country. That is what is given in this particular point. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So,
Yes.
shall we start, Gobi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, you
Ma'am.
can. Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm having some net issues, so I
Okay.
off my video.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
I'm Abhinav from 9B, here to take a seminar on democracy, pages 6 and 7. Free and fair election. Since its independence in 1930, Mexico holds elections after every 6 years to elect its president. Mexico has never been under a military or dictator's rule.
What happened?